Today is Saturday, November 11th, 2023. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 45, Week 7.
Week 7. We're like halfway? Or is it a little over halfway? I think it's over halfway now with the way the new seasons work.
Yeah,
right?
This one throws us over.
Yeah. So we did
It's usually 13 weeks. So
used to be 14. But yes, we do our recaps on Wednesday. Saturday's our listener feedback show. And that's where we hand it over to the super fans, check in with them, see, get their thoughts, reflections on the episode, and hopefully fingers and funky freaky toes crossed, some predictions for who might get voted out next.
That would be very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And before I forget, I want to say Happy Veterans Day to all of our awesome veterans out there.
Yep, definitely celebrating Veterans Day.
We appreciate you.
Today in the U.S. Good stuff. Anything else we need to cover before we kick it off?
Nope. Let's see what Pete has to say.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling you. Well, I gotta say, that was a pretty solid double boot episode. Not really that predictable. I know some may say that, but I was a little baffled and a little sad, but I'm gonna let out a great big woo! But I am sad because two of my favorites, especially Caleb, were sent packing, and I like seafood too. You could see how disappointed he was. He didn't make it to the jury phase. And Caleb, man, I'm sad and disappointed though. Even more, because I thought he had a chance to win, but I gotta be honest, his threat status, I think it caught up with him. That was an unbelievable moment last week with the shortness in the dark there, and with the 12 votes, how he saved himself, but this was just too much, and I thought really Katura was gonna vote with him and Jake to force a tie with Julie, and either we'll go to that crazy rock thing, or they believe Austin would flip, but it wasn't meant to be. I think what did him in and what did Jake in, I don't know if you guys agree or if the other fans agree. I think when he mentioned the idol to Couture, now it could have been, I think it was a solid strategy about telling her about Bruce's idol, but you could see how she lost trust in both of them because she was the only one that didn't know about it at old Lulu right before the merge happened. And now it looks like based on Next On, it could be a women's alliance, which that would be amazing if that holds true. I think we haven't seen that since the fans' favorites and probably One World with Kim Spradlin. That would be unreal, but who knows, that might just be a misdirect. And Bruce, I think I agree with you, Stacey. I think he's a GOAT now. He got the idol. Who would vote for him to win? And now he's got everyone's nerves, especially Kelly. God bless her for putting up with him. And Kendra, I think Kendra's getting more and more annoyed, but catching right up there with Katura. So we'll see. I bet you Katura is going to somehow get rid of Bruce, even though he's the perfect GOAT. But D is looking good right now. I thought D did show her cards now because they're going to see her as a threat. And Julie got a couple votes, but I still think she's working it under the radar. So we'll see, guys. We'll see. Should be good next week. So you got a potential women's alliance and the Survivor auction. I wonder if Probst has a twist, though, because he stopped doing it because no one would bid on any food anymore. They would just assume to bid for big advantages, which Tony Vlachos and Spencer started in Cagayan. So I want to see how it's all changed up now. Looking forward to it, guys. Great episode, though. even though I'm sad about Caleb going, but he will be on jury. Take care. Whoa.
Whoa. I think what really sunk Jake with Keturah was when she realized the depths of the deception.
Yes.
It was asking him about the rings and if the rings were just a fake out. And he owned it, but she was gone after that point. She's like, well, really? All of you did that against me?
All of you did that. I have no one. I'm out here by myself.
Yeah.
I do not blame her for her
I knew
move.
I was on my own in the end. Everyone is.
Yeah, but she still thought she was working closer than that with people.
She thought she had deeper connections, and he just pulled the rug completely out from under her.
Keturah would have understood if, Bruce not telling her.
Yes.
Of course. But all the others, every one of them was in on it and kept it from her. Yeah, no, I'm with her. And especially last minute, just before you go to trouble, there was no time to reestablish trust.
Right. Yeah, that's rough. What a great lesson in the game. There's some people you're going to cut out of the loop, and then you might get put in a situation where you need them, and how do you make that trade-off? And that was a legitimate concern that Austin would bring up, the fact that Bruce had an idol.
Yep.
To pull her. Wow. How do you make the call whether to say or not? Interesting. Yep. I think that's...
Well, they made it, and it was the wrong call.
Unfortunately.
Otherwise, if they had not done that, I believe Caleb would still be there and Julie would be gone.
You're thinking they just should have rolled the dice that Austin wouldn't?
I don't know what they should have done. I'm just saying they did what they did, and that's what happened.
You can see the result. Okay. All right. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. Well, I guess we can officially say that Murgatory is over and we are now merged. I expect that next week everyone will be on the same beach and there'll be individual immunity, so that's great. And I thought this episode was really good. Unfortunately for me, I didn't get 2 vote-off points, but thankfully I did have Sifu as a vote-off, so I got a point for that. But I actually think I had made a critical error where I was shuffling around my picks before the episode and I ended up only selecting 1 vote-off, so I would have been ineligible to get the 2 points. I only got a point on Sifu, but it's kind of a moot point anyway because I wasn't planning on putting Caleb as a vote-off. I really thought him and Emily would have served well in this episode in the smaller tribes as being a vote for sort of the Reba-Bello split, and I thought it was going to pan out like that, so I didn't think necessarily Caleb was going home, but I imagine a whole lot of people did get a vote off for Caleb and for Sifu, but anyway, it was a great episode. Jake's stock in my books went up a lot this episode. I'm glad to see he finally recognized the threat that Dee is. Not only an immunity threat, but just that she's running this game. And I was excited to see him kind of take a bit of her toolbox away there by getting rid of Julie. And I really wish that Keturah went that way. The editors did a good job of keeping us in suspense whether she was going to do that or vote for Caleb. But I get it for Keturah. You could tell that she was really not happy with being left out of the whole Bruce Idol situation, especially the way that it went down, and Jake didn't obviously do a good enough job smoothing it over, but I'm still a fan of Jake and I'm kind of excited to see the rest of his game, but like you guys, I expect he's going to be in a lot of trouble next week, so Jake's definitely an easy pick for vote off point next week. And I also wonder how Emily's going to react now with Caleb being gone. She was ready for that, the vote where he almost went home first time, but I don't know, she was mentally prepared, I guess, but to see what it's like in reality will be really interesting, how she handles it and whether or not her name comes up at all. I think that's definitely possible, but as of now I'm leaning as Jake as my vote off, but let's see if people start to realize how big of a threat Dee actually is. That's all of my feedback for this week, and I look forward to hearing everyone else's thoughts. All right, you guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert. Certainly a women's alliance helps take some of the heat off of Dee. If they start acting as a group, then she's got lots of coverage.
But can you see Dee really voting Austin out? Will she? She just seems... She was so happy to see them come back, and...
Yeah.
Seems to be he gives her some stability and comfort.
I don't think she'll hesitate, though. She's so focused on doing that for her family, like she talked about.
Yeah.
After she won the Hold On challenge.
Yeah,
so I don't think she'll have... I don't know that it'll be difficult for her. She's got a vision, and she's executing to it. Thanks, Robert. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca from Northern California. That was a really, really fantastic episode. So I went into Wednesday morning with 2 picks, Sifu and Bruce, thinking that it had to be Bruce's time. He's so obnoxious. He's rubbing everybody the wrong way. But amongst the discussion with my colleagues on the Facebook page, I think at like 3:27 p.m. in California, I said, you know what? I got to change it to Caleb. Even though it breaks my heart to see him leave, I love him so much. I have to think smart and think with my head, not my heart, which is what I always used to do. I would only vote for people who I liked. And if I liked them too much, I just could not put a vote out point on them. But in the last 2 years, I've changed that strategy. So lo and behold, oh my God, I got the 2 vote-offs right. Like Joanne, I got 7 points. I couldn't believe it. But I was so sad to see Caleb go. But for a moment, I would just like to say, Katora, she definitely was the star of the show for me. I love her. I decided to keep her as my USB. I just think she is a really good player, and she and D, they just impressed me so much. And oh my God, D holding on to the pole for so long, and Kelly holding on to the pole for so long. These women, they're strong, they're amazing, they're smart. I would really like to see them pull together and have a women's alliance, because Kendra and Julie too, they're just really great players. I'm enjoying this cast now that we got rid of those silly quitters. I'm really enjoying everyone on the cast, except for Bruce. I have already made my picks for next week. I have picked Bruce to be voted out. I have picked others to be safe. Can't remember who they are right now. But I really think he's going to go next. I think he's playing it all wrong. He's playing too heavy. He's being too pushy. And, I mean, if you're a fan of Survivor, don't you watch the show and realize you just can't do that? Can't throw your weight around like that. It's not the way to play Survivor. You got to work with people. And if you're too charismatic and just too amazing, you get voted out early like Caleb. But I'm so happy he's on the jury. I'm so happy we'll still get to see him every week, because you know what? I think he really might have been my favorite cast player. So I am packing up for my bike ride in Napa tomorrow, and I have been dodging COVID all week because both my employers, who are in their 70s, got COVID for the first time in 3.5 years this week. And I told them I would take care of them. And I've been working with a mask on, and I have not gotten it. And I'm knocking wood. Wait, gonna do it again. Knocking wood that I don't. Being careful, washing my hands, not touching my face, wearing a mask. Pray for me, everybody. I do not want to catch COVID, but I cannot leave my employers alone. I've been making them chicken soup. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great day, and can't wait to hear what other people's predictions are for next week. Bye.
Excellent. Thanks, Rebecca.
And stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
She reminded me, I had completely forgotten. I put some pics in right after the episode when we got done recording. Yeah.
Okay, so you already got your picks in.
Yeah.
All right.
I put Bruce. I forgot. When she said that, I went, oh, yeah. I put Bruce in. I thought, let me just put this in right now. And I can always change it if I decide to.
That's true.
But
you were
yeah.
feeling that.
Yeah, I was. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if Rebecca stays with that. Thanks, Rebecca. Next up, we got an email from Justin in Michigan.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy and all the Survivor super fans. I have been super busy helping on my family's farm in addition to my normal day job, as we are in the middle of harvest season here in rural Michigan. I still make time to watch the show when I get home on Wednesday nights.
Yes.
And then listen to the podcasts in the combine or tractor. So thank you all for making my long work weeks better.
Hey, that makes us like almost farmers. We're contributing to the harvest.
Right. Mm-hmm. Way to go. Me. I figured the top 10 would be a good time to quickly put together my power rankings for this season to help me with my JSFL picks the rest of the way and to see how things change from here. Here's the order of who I think has the best chance to win if they get to the end based on how they played so far and their current situations and alliances. Number 1, D, then Kelly, Austin, Julie, Keturah, Drew, Emily, Kendra, Jake, and Bruce.
Yeah, I can understand that list.
I'll be shuffling these around each week from here on out based on what unfolds in each episode. I still have Emily as my USB 24.
Bold.
So cheering for her to keep navigating through without any other original Lulu left to lean on. Have a great week, and thanks for everything. All right. Thank you, Justin. Up next, we've got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all my survivor friends. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode with the double elimination, and also because I got both the vote-offs correct. I was really impressed by Dee, who won the classic channel thanks to her big toe. Now let's see what her big lips will get her. Kelly's effort was also super impressive. It was so nice to see them all eat. I was glad to see Keturah jump ship, and why shouldn't she? She is deliberately being kept in the dark. I haven't changed my USB, and let's see how far Keturah goes. I was really impressed by Julie, so who knows if she will creep up towards the end. Her and Dee make a really formidable pair. What I would really like to see is a strong girls alliance. I know it never happens, and so far, in my opinion, the best girls alliance was in fans versus favorites with Parvati, Siri, and Amanda. Well, who will go next? I think Bruce is a sitting duck, and he'll be off to Ponderosa to annoy whoever is there. Oh yeah, Caleb. Okay, so now 12th of November is Diwali, the main holiday for people of the Hindu faith. So I'm so busy cooking, getting the house ready, getting little presents for my little granddaughter Anya. I know she will enjoy it. She'll be so aware of everything. To my survivor family, may the divine light of Diwali fill your lives with love, prosperity, and happiness. Happy Diwali all.
Excellent. I
And
like that.
happy Diwali to you.
Yeah, what a great sentiment.
Yes, I hope you have a happy holiday.
Next up, we got a call from David in Oklahoma.
Did I say my name differently last week? Because I think
Yes.
I did. Hi, this is David from Oklahoma, back with another thing, and today I am mad. I am very mad, actually, because Jake is in danger and Sifu is gone. Sifu was fun and lovable, and I just enjoyed having him around. And Caleb, oh boy, do I have a lot to say about that. Basically, I think Keturah made a really emotional and irrational decision here, and that's going to cause a whole lot of problems because the Reavers don't want to work with her. Jake's not going to work with her, and I don't think anyone else is going to work with her because Emily, I don't know, maybe Emily doesn't care that Caleb's gone, but either way, I think that's a bad decision. But I'm more scared for my boy Jake because he is my winner pick for this season, and I really think he has a worse chance now. But I somehow think he might be able to slide past this, mainly because he's getting an advantage next episode or something like that. And I feel like he can recover. But he needs to get rid of Dee, or else she will come and leave a traction of destruction waiting for him. Besides that, get a grip, I guess, which is the name of the challenge. That would hurt really bad. Mainly because I feel like I would fall in like a minute or something, not even. But anyway, love you, Joanne and Stacy. You guys are amazing. See you next week. Bye.
Thanks, David. Good job. I bet you'd last longer than Emily did. And Kendra. Good stuff. Next up, we got a call from Denise.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Denise from Florida calling in to say goodbye to my USB Caleb. I could have and should have changed him last week to Kelly, my second choice, but I just really enjoyed rooting for Caleb. He was so much fun. Plus, I thought he might have had a chance at the immunity challenge. However, once I saw that he was up against Dee and her super toe, I knew that he didn't stand a chance. He also kind of brought it on himself with the mistakes he made in the game, particularly with two women, of course, Keturah and Dee. And that brings me to what I really wanted to talk about in this call, and that is the looming potential of a women's alliance. Normally, men on Survivor are just completely paranoid about the possibility of a women's alliance. But if ever there was a season that just cried out for one, this is it. These guys are deserving of what they would get from a women's alliance. And it's hard to say which one, Jake or Bruce, is going to go first, but they both have blown it with the women of their tribe. Now, Bruce is, of course, the worst offender. He's always full of himself, no matter who he's talking to, but particularly with the women of the tribe. If he's not mansplaining or talking over them, he's rolling his eyes or just completely dismissing them altogether. In a woman's alliance, Kelly will have the numbers where she can cut him loose like the anchor that she's been comparing him to. And Katura will, of course, get her revenge. As for the other guys on the tribe, Drew and Sifu were both guilty of the same sloppy overconfidence, which resulted in Sifu's boot and a lucky near miss by Drew. I wondered at the time why Sifu didn't play his fake idol or shot in the dark. And then I heard in his interview that he admitted that, like Drew, he had forgotten his bag and therefore left both his shot in the dark and his fake idol back at camp. So I'm confused as to why the editors chose to show Drew's mistake and then didn't show anything about Sifu doing the same thing. And why did they even show us Sifu's fake idol at all, since ultimately he didn't get to do anything with it when it mattered. But either way, it was sloppy gameplay on their side and overconfidence, which of course Drew has just got in abundance. The best male player on the whole tribe, of course, is Austin. But I also thought it was interesting that they showed him lying to Emily about his idol when they were talking about her lying to Caleb and feeling bad about it. So if anyone does ultimately turn on the woman's alliance, I think it would be Emily, because she is closer to the boys, and the girls have really never treated her very well. She hasn't seemed very included with the women. Even with Kendra, whom she was supposedly clicked, Kendra was shown last week wanting revenge against Emily. Emily has proven that she will play the double agent, but I think that may be what brings her down ultimately, is that she may try to betray the women's alliance to save either Drew or Austin. I'm down for the future of this season with the women's alliance, and I hope that these scorned women will reignite the paranoia of women's alliances in future seasons for years to come. Thank you guys for all you do. I really enjoy your show, and it just makes watching Survivor that much more fun.
Thanks, Denise. Good job. The Black Widow Brigade did massive psychological damage, didn't they?
Yes.
That's where all that fear of the women's alliance seems to come from. Well, maybe not all, but a significant portion.
There's no man on this season that's even remotely as naive as Eric was.
That could be...
Or as young, and Eric was young and naive.
Maybe you could run it a different way, though. Maybe... Well, who is most vulnerable? Bruce.
Well, is he, though? As she was talking, I was thinking, oh, shoot, I may have to change my vote off from Bruce, because I forgot. He should play that idol. They keep saying they're going to blindside him, but if they do it next, he's going to be expecting something, I think.
Well, he did do a good job. I keep telling myself, don't
counting him out.
Yeah, because he did really well on picking up on the threat Kendra was posing in this last episode.
He did, and he's kind of ruling in a somewhat threatening manner, like, if you do this, I'll come after you.
Look, he took Caleb out, didn't he?
If you vote with me, yeah, right. Anyway. I thought, oh, shoot, they may have to get him to play his idol by saying they're coming after you, but then they go for somebody else.
Flush it and then...
Flush the idol, then go after him. So I thought, oh, shoot, now I'm already rethinking.
One of the other things that Denise said that I completely agreed with is Emily. She does seem like most likely to turn first on a women's alliance. And the thing that sparked it again for me was we were watching that extra clip where they were working on the new tribe flag, the merged tribe flag, where they were painting it.
Yeah.
And they cut to her, and she's essentially saying...
Confessional.
In a confessional, she's saying, this is the biggest waste of time. So this is old Emily, original Emily, not recognizing the value of that social situation, not being a part of it potentially.
She wasn't going to go over there and waste time writing her name on the stupid flag, and why they're wasting all that time over there, drawing on a flag.
You saw that immediate contempt for something that was being done, and the people doing it just flare right up again.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think Denise is onto something with that.
I think that is more the true thought process for Emily. And it's certainly a part of who she is, because I think she can act nice and friendly, but I think she has to work at it.
Or have proper motivation, which is shape up or you're getting shipped out. So she made some changes, but yeah, she'll fall back into her normal mode. And I think she probably has gained enough comfort that she already is headed in that direction at this point in the game. Yeah.
Well,
interesting.
We will see.
Yeah. Thanks, Denise. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California. This was a pretty good recent episode, and it was interesting to see the fallout of the tribal council. There wasn't a lot for me to discuss, but it was a good episode. It was a shame that in the first group who went to tribal council, Sifu didn't make it to the jury. It was great to see the return of some of the classic challenges like the pole holding challenge. I don't know how good I would do in this challenge, since it does seem to be a hard one, and I can see why Dee did a great job with this challenge. It was interesting to see that the loser group went to the old Lulu tribe. I don't see why everyone doesn't bring their packs to every challenge, just in case this type of challenge switch happens. That is totally on them, because this has happened before.
Yes, it has.
I will miss Sifu, since I did enjoy his attitude and the enjoyment he had playing out there. Caleb unfortunately didn't get that lucky twice. I wonder how the Survivor auction will play out next episode, since in the past the castaways only have waited until the very end for an advantage or reward. Hope you're all enjoying this season so far. Thanks, Jack. That's a good question. There was a tweet from Carson, and he was referencing the auction, so he may have had some role to play in how they've modified the auction. Let's see. He said, during the last gasp challenge, the one where they're under the bars in the water, Carson says, we had about 45 minutes to spare before the water levels rose to the top. So I begged Jeff to bring back the auction. He explained the auction was broken and needed some risk-reward element to it. So I suggested to sparingly hide advantages and disadvantages in the food items and let the players know that they can bid on food, but that they could come with an advantage or disadvantage. Hence, it was a matter of weighing whether the temporary sustenance was worth the risk of getting a disadvantage in the game. So in my delusional world, I'm the reason the Survivor auction is back. Y'all are welcome. I love that. That was awesome. And Probst loves that. That's exactly the kind of thing that he's been looking for in this new season. The incentive, disincentive, there could be, hence the beware advantage. It just fits with that whole pattern. And I have
enjoyed that.
Yeah, it fits with that whole pattern. So, thanks,
right, Carson.
Thanks, Jack. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. I don't know if you can tell, but it is that time of year. Last few years, for some reason around this time, I lose my voice. Hopefully, it doesn't last months on end. So, wish me luck, because I got stuff going on. I need my voice every day, pretty much. So, I mean, don't we all? I just finished listening to your recap Saturday morning. Actually, just hit high noon here in Utah. I finally watched the episode last night. I've just been watching it whenever I possibly can. I like a double elimination episode. I always like those. It just feels like it gets things really rolling, especially as we're leading into the full-on merge and the jury and all of that. I did put in my picks last week. I was right on point. I was like, you know what? I'm still going to go with Bruce. I was just crossing my fingers with Bruce. Man, it was so close. And I'll tell you, my other vote-out pick was Caleb. So I managed to get especially on that double first on jury bonus, but man, it would have been so rad to get full points for this pivotal, crucial episode. And it's funny too, because I was kind of invoking Stacy when I was doing my picks, and I put Sifu safe at first, and I was like, people are talking about he might be next. No, I'm just going to play really bold. I hadn't picked him safe once yet, so I was like, I got a big zero next to his name. Yep. I'm going to pick Sifu safe this one time. They'll probably be gone next week. And then, sure enough, there you go. But I'll take the double on Caleb. I just feel like Caleb, I think he looks, I mean, he's handsome, he's charming. I think it seems like an act, and I don't know if it's just his personality or his background in sales or what. It just seems kind of smarmy to me, and so I wasn't sorry. And I couldn't see him really getting all the way to the end. So I could see him in Final 3 for sure. But I'm really liking how the second half of this season is rolling and how it's looking. There's so many really strong personalities, not just personalities, but player personalities, you know what I mean? Julie was actually watching with me last night, which she often doesn't, but I really like that D, and I was like, yeah, I like her too. Like she's really fiery, but she's really smart. I mean, yeah, maybe she's kind of vengeful, but she's capable, and she's really, a lot of them, like Katora really came forward in this episode, and Julie, who knows what she has up her sleeve. Emily, I've always thought was kind of given a bad presentation on the show, so it'd be interesting to see, of course, Kelly. Kendra, if you have to explain the joke, it loses its impact, okay? If you really want to talk about the assuming thing, just say, you know what my mom says about assuming, and leave it right there, girlfriend. Everyone knows. You don't have to spell it out. I'm happy to get not a total blank for points. Really looking forward to seeing my name coming out of that basement. Sorry, Parker, if we we part ways. It's going to be how it goes. So everyone have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Drew. And that was a time to play bold because you had that potential first on jury to balance you out. So
and I
applaud
followed you, and then you both lost a point.
I applaud your risk taking.
And for those of you who don't know, Drew was watching with his wife, Julie, and not Julie from the show.
Good stuff. Thanks, Drew. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanna and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh. I really want to say something about this season. I'm really enjoying the hour-and-a-half episodes. I know everybody else is too. But I don't feel like I have anybody to root for. I actually like all of the characters, even Kendra and Sifu that were really getting me annoyed. And Bruce being so difficult. I really like everyone. And watching Tribal Council the second time, I felt really sad when Caleb and Sifu were voted off. On social media, I'm seeing a lot of people saying that they really like this cast better than last season. Not me. I loved the rise of the Tika 3. That combo of Carson and Carolyn and Jam Jam was just so interesting to watch. And every week I was really excited to see what was going to happen. And when we were down to the Final Four, I had no idea who was going to win, even though I had picked Jam Jam from the beginning. So I like the characters this season, but I loved the characters last season. As for the Sifu vote out, honestly, I never saw his game plan. It may have been the way the episodes have been edited, but who was he aligned with? When they said he was a wild card, I thought that was the case. And when it came up for this final tribal council, he didn't seem to be scrambling. He just seemed resigned to his fate. I was sorry to see him go. I just didn't see any good gameplay from him. As for the Caleb vote out, I thought Jake's plan to go to a tie seemed really flawed. And by the way, I love that flash forward showing us what could happen. And at first I thought the DVR had somehow missed a segment, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. But as soon as Caleb told Katora they lost her, and I saw how her face fell, and then when she talked to Jake and she realized that whole routine about missing the rings was all done just to deceive her, they lost her trust. And why would she go to a possible tie, which would end up that Caleb and Julie would be safe, and then she'd have a 25% chance to go home. So I think she made the absolute best decision for herself, and they lost her trust because of what they did before. And unfortunately for Caleb, he played along with them to be in the majority. And as for Austin playing scared, we've never seen that, so I don't know where that's coming from. Now Dee doesn't forgive and forget, and so we can see that if there is a women's alliance, Jake better watch out. However, I don't think the women's alliance is going to make it to the end, but right now, with Bruce and Austin and Drew having advantages, Jake's the odd man out. Can't wait to see what happens next week. Bye.
Thanks, David. Yeah, it seemed like there was, when Julie said, is he looking for an advantage in the next time on? It was like with contempt in her voice. And there was, I forget who else was there with her, but it was two other women. So I'm worried for Jake too.
Yeah. I definitely think that Dee and Julie are going to want to go after Jake.
Yes, based on everything they've told us before. In Sifu's exit interviews, I got the sense that what we got was really him. Now, he said he was making connections. He was having long talks and all those kinds of things. But
was he strategizing? I think...
That seems to be where he came up empty.
I would think he'd just be a good buddy. He seemed like he could be sweet, even though I would find it annoying if he just wanted to, just all the gestures and the whole
acting out.
He's a Sifu and blah blah.
Yes,
but I think he's probably, as a person, he's a pretty nice guy, and I think he genuinely liked Caleb. He seemed to.
Yeah. And
even though he wrote his
several
name
others,
down.
he also confirms that what Jay said had happened, that they had a talk, and then he took an opportunity to offer her up and share what she had shared with him in the early bit at their alliance. So he basically got to reap what he sowed.
Well, then he can't be upset with Drew then, huh?
And he wasn't. He wasn't at all. He didn't seem to have bad feelings. He wished he had done some things differently, obviously. And he was, he had continued to suspect D. So he didn't get any further than it was either J or D. So he was happy to have either one of them go at that point when they did. But pretty much what we saw is who he was out there, was how he summed it up for us.
Well, he seems like a fairly happy, easy-going kind of guy. So I like that.
Yeah.
I like that about him.
You can understand why people are sad that he's gone. He brought something.
Yeah, and my impression after watching his interviews before the game started was, I thought he would be different. And he is softer, even in his speech, than I thought he would be. And so I liked him a little better for that. But I did find him annoying at times. Especially 24/7 out there. I kept thinking, oh, yeah, that would get annoying after,
Yeah, he said he led them in Tai Chi every morning. And so
that I would enjoy.
He was making those kind of connections, but not the strategy kind of connections.
Right.
So interesting to see. Yet another interesting study in how the game plays out and how challenging it can be for you when you're out there to figure out where you really are. What are they thinking?
I think it was more important for him to have fun and make connections.
He does seem like it was the experience for him. So.
Yeah. That's kind of what I thought, but because otherwise you would have been not that he wasn't thinking strategy, but he went about it in that initial sneaky way. I think that's what annoyed people was hiding and
he acknowledged
doing,
all that too,
acting like Tony and that it's already been done.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think anybody appreciated the redo.
Yep. Definitely, it didn't work to his advantage.
First time, really.
Thanks, David. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and this is a mournful time. This immense loss to season 45 of Survivor. It will never be the same. But for real, it was a good episode. Again, I hate the fact that it takes so long in the new era to have a normal merge vote. As Kelly said, at their tribal council, there hasn't been a tribal council where everyone except one freaking person is up for the vote. We haven't had a pure merge vote yet. And that is crucial to Survivor. That merge vote is one of the most important votes of the game. And when every single season now we muddy it up with all this stuff, it impacts the game so much. It just makes it so much harder for big players who are playing the game well, who are fighting the skin of their teeth to actually win and actually make it to the end. And it sucks. It's so sad to watch. I love Caleb. I thought he's, unless somebody really stands out, he's probably still going to be my favorite player of this season at the end of it. Ah, man, I should have I had it, but I knew that he probably wasn't going to win, but I wanted to keep him just on the off chance he makes it. Those 24 points, they're pretty appealing. And also, it's just fun to root for him. So, like, why not keep him as my USB? But I knew that I should have switched it logically. But it is what it is. I'm probably still in the basement, and I was so excited watching him and Jake work together and Jake really rally to try and keep him. And I'm with Jake. I agree. Viewer glasses off. A big fan of him I am. Take all that away. If I'm playing this season, if I'm out there, I would have the same philosophy that Jake and Austin had, which is keep the big threats. Caleb is a huge shield. Huge. Tony still wins the game despite having Spencer till the final 4. At the end of the day, if you're in a great spot, you'll probably stay in a great spot with that shield there. And I think Katora majorly screwed up. Majorly. Caleb was one of the only people Katora had. I think Kelly is going to stick with Kendra and Bruce over Katora when it comes down to it. She wants Bruce around right now. That she's made that evident. And I think, obviously, Katora doesn't have the same hindsight we do as viewers, but I think she dug her grave here. I think that was a terrible move. Terrible. I will say this season, I don't know, I'm just having so much more fun with this season than I have the last 4 seasons. And I don't know if that's 90 minutes. I don't know if it's because the cast is better. I don't know if it's because they're taking away some of the stuff that I found annoying. I don't know. But whatever it is, I think it's all of the above. But whatever it is, it just makes me, it makes me want to play Survivor again. The odds are just so low at getting cast. They're so low. But yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. I will see you guys next time.
You gotta keep applying, Parker. Keep doing it. Keep going. Next up, we got an email from Thomas from Toronto, Canada.
It seems like this season has gotten worse with each episode. I have nothing to say about this episode other than it wasn't very good at all. And I hope the Women's Alliance crashes and burns. Next up, we have the stupid auction. I was glad it was gone, and I don't understand why anyone actually liked it. I hope this is the last time it comes back and it shows why it's a failure. All right, Thomas.
For something completely different. Good deal.
Well, thank you for sharing, Thomas, and I'm sorry that you're not enjoying this season.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, we got a call from Shahin.
Hi, Joe and Stacey, North 5 fans. Hope everyone is well. I'm back from my cruise. What I forgot to mention was that it was our honeymoon, which my wife kindly made me mention because I didn't mention it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, it was really good. We went to the South Pacific and it was amazing. I think this week's episode was amazing. I had to do a catch-up. I had to do 2 in a row the day before, so the Wednesday and then Thursday. So, because it's Thursday in Australia, Thursday night. So, that episode 2 weeks back was amazing. And then I think this one was a bit stock standard. I think the challenge, again, we've seen that so many times with that 6-6 split and the way that they operate that split, pretty stock standard. I think the way that both votes went, I think the first one with Sifu was quite evident how it was going to play out. I think Sifu kind of made his bed a few weeks ago, and I think I mentioned that, reading the room. I'm not sure if that's a character that he's been playing or if that's his genuine self, but again, it's all about measuring the temperature there and reading the room and seeing how am I affecting other people with my behaviour, because ultimately it affects you as being a piece, a social player in Survivor. That's so important above all else. I think is being a player that people can rely on, and he couldn't be relied on for anything, so unfortunately he had to go. The bigger, more pivotal, and I think this would be the biggest decision made in the whole season, is what happened with Katura. And I think there was a couple of missteps, as they were mentioned. I don't think Caleb and Jake predicted that would happen by giving that piece of information regarding Bruce, but that was a huge misstep, unfortunately. And again, it's something that Katura can't blame her for us feeling bad about fan favorite going, and that could have sunk her game. One, that's the only information that she had at the time. She felt probably vulnerable at the time, following that information, knowing that she was on the bottom potentially. Probably wasn't in hindsight, but knowing that was the only decision that she could make, so I don't blame her at all. And second of all, it probably puts her in a better position now, because she can cut all ties with her previous tribe and pursue other alliances. So there's a bit more flexibility now. I think this decision right here to get rid of Caleb, and for Katurah to have now fragmented herself away has now created a bit more flexibility in the game, and I think we're going to see a bit more running and gunning as a result. I did think, though, that if they didn't mention that piece of information at all and kind of just played the Austin angle a little bit better, I think that something could have happened. Whether it was a 3-3, they could have then played upon a possible vulnerability, because I think Austin is playing from a position of safety at the moment with all these advantages, and I think he's not willing to play a bold game like D. So look, we'll see, but I think Jake is in a bit of trouble now. So thanks for what you do, and hope everyone is all well and safe.
Thanks, Shahin. Congratulations again.
Yes, I did remember that you were going on your honeymoon.
I think he's right about Katurah, and I think Katurah is almost on an equal GOAT standing with Bruce at this point.
Really?
Yeah. Here's why. It's in a different way, though. She's had no agency. She thought she had a connection, and she thought she was part of the decision structure with Kelly and Kendra, but now she knows she wasn't.
Well, here's the thing.
She's been out of the loop. She's a smart lady, but she's got nothing going for her, and she just cut herself loose from that group.
It depends on how well, because I'm pretty sure she and Kelly and Kendra will talk.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they want to do a women's alliance. So it depends on how well Kelly and Kendra can manage it and what they say to her. Can they win her trust back? I don't know about
specifically
Kendra,
Kelly.
but Kelly.
Because Kendra wasn't
Kelly
there
might.
and part of that deception.
True.
She did eventually know, but...
Yeah, and still didn't tell her, though.
Right,
So,
as none of them did.
So she could cut it completely off, or I don't think it would behoove her to completely cut out the two girls on Bello in case there is a women's alliance and she might need to make other choices.
She needs something, but she has nothing. This is where she's at. I don't know if there's any path to victory for her. It looks a lot like a dead end to me.
Victory?
She just gets used as a number. And take her. She hasn't had any impact on the game and likely won't. Even if she is part of the Women's Alliance, then you're just part of a bigger number that you're not controlling.
Yeah, but she could do kind of what Emily did and, vote this way or that way, each tribal according to what puts her in the best position. So
it's going to be, what if she ends up in a scenario where she needs Bruce's help?
Oh.
Would she even be willing to go there?
I don't think so. I don't think she'd trust him, and I don't think he'd trust her.
Yeah, I don't know that they could get past it.
I think that trust is completely...
That would be amazing to get to see if they're in a situation where they need each other.
And like Kelly continuously said this episode, Bruce is holding on to his revenge completely.
Mm-hmm.
And now that Caleb's gone, his revenge will be directed
Next
toward
up on
her.
the hit list, Katurah. He already went out of his way to embarrass her and make her look like less of a player in front of some of the Reba players after that vote. So, good stuff. Thanks, Shahin. Next up, we got a call from Nora.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy and everyone. It's Nora in Canada. And of course, I'm very, very sad about Caleb going, but I'm really mad at, on one side, the producers, because this artificially, it's not a merge. It's going to be two arbitrary groups of 5 and 6. This is killing everybody's autonomy. How are people able to play this game if here we go. I'm a bellow. I've got 2 other bellows, 2 Rebas in here, and a Lulu. It's just, why can't they play the game? I should really be asking Jeff this. It's so interfering with people's choices and creativity, and it's almost like when last year's thing happened where the losing three went on to win the game. You'd never believe that this group of players didn't see it, because they didn't see it. They were out there without access to knowing what happened on the previous season, but you'd never know it by the way they're playing. It's like their number one rule is to not have a Yam Caroline Carson kind of win, even though they didn't see it. But the safety is their only mode. Every single one of them are just chicken, except Jake. Like I have really come around to Jake. I'm telling you, in terms of respect, it is time to break up the Bello versus Reba thing. Of course it is. It's the right time. Yeah, sacrifice Bruce. The only problem here is that Jake didn't start early enough on this sacrifice of Bruce. He could have been on Katura's side right from the very beginning. And he could have been sneaking her all of this in case he needed her later. But he didn't do any early work, Jake. So I'm very disappointed in the chicken behavior of everybody. And you cannot beat, the four people in Reba who are stuck, joined at the hip. So it's time to break it up and have some courage. And producers, please stop interfering by these artificial, arbitrary division into 5 and 6. It's just, we're watching the producers play and a bunch of scaredy cats. And it's a real downer. That's all I have to say. Thank you for everything you do, Stacey and Joanne.
Thanks, Nora. Yeah, the Probst loves this. He loves all the tension, all the potential for TV moments that it creates, splitting them back down into the smaller groups and making the stakes higher. He thinks this is one of the highlight elements of the new era.
Well, it does make it more intense and certainly harder to make picks.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and as a testament to how people are feeling, lots of people are missing Sifu. Lots of people are missing Caleb. And like Parker was saying, Caleb is standing out like it might be the highlight cast member of the season for him. And that's what I look for in a season, is not that you don't care one way or another when somebody goes. That means they didn't have any impact on the game. But when you really feel it, and when you're anxious for them at the same time before
after
it,
the episode.
Yeah, exactly.
It was good, but I'm sad.
Yeah, I think that's still good. That's an indication of
still manipulating your emotions.
Of
which
a really
about.
good example of casting. By the way, Probst keeps banging that drum for some reason.
What drum?
So petty. It's that thank you for the casting coaches that brought us Caleb. He's just had something in his craw about like Adam's business, where he'll consult with you to try to help you put together a good audition video that'll really get casting's attention. Mm-hmm. He finds a way to mention it in every episode of his podcast this season. And he's denigrating the idea of it and saying, there's no way that we wouldn't have found Caleb. So it's like you're way over-threatened by someone offering a service to help you out with how to present yourself in the best possible light. It's odd to me that it keeps coming up. Anyway, thanks, Nora. Next up, we got a call from Brandon.
Hey there, Joanne and Stacy. It's Brandon from Indiana. And, well, after a really solid, exciting episode 6, episode 7 kind of feels like a bummer. While I'm not a huge fan of last week's half the tribe are safe aspect, I think the thing that I'm really upset about is this split vote thing that they're doing after the merge. Once you're merged, why are we not doing full votes? It doesn't make any sense to then randomly split people up into 2 tribes again, because that's what it is. They're not calling them tribes, but that's what they did. They had one-day tribes, and those tribes then had to figure out who they were voting for. I just think that there's a fundamental flaw in the way that the producers are thinking, that for some reason a vote with 12 people gives too many people a place to hide. No, it doesn't. It means that the 14 days leading up to that vote mattered, and that the relationships and the bonds that had been built mattered. Last night there was no reason for Reba to lose one player and a possible strong ally, and instead the Bello tribe, which should be on the ropes, Other than their dislike for Bruce and other people's dislike for Bruce, the Bello tribe got a big hand of help from the producers this week on Survivor, because I don't think that if you had a 12, you could have done 2 people voted out. I don't know that Caleb goes, because I think if you're going to do 2 people voted out, do your first vote, send them home, and then turn around and say, now we're doing an immunity challenge, have your social immunity challenge, and vote again and send the next person out. Don't give people time to really talk. That's fine. That's acceptable. That's a twist. And that means people have to fall back on those relationships and the things that they've built for the first 14 days. I just really hated that this all came down to a rock draw where once again Caleb is left without his closest ally in Emily and without the potential for the possible Reba allyship with Lulu to converse and determine that they would rather go for Bruce and a Jake or Bruce and Keturah or anyone other than Caleb. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Even if they wanted to get rid of Sifu, they could have basically replaced him with Caleb had they had a chance to all sit and talk and chat. Who knows? Maybe that's not how it would have gone. Maybe my read is wrong. But I was just very frustrated with that. And so I know that took up a lot of my time, but I just wanted to also point out that I'm curious if Austin and Dee are the showmance that have been teased. I saw that Dee specifically told Austin she loved him after she won the immunity. Maybe she's one of those people that always says that she loves people. But that kind of stuck out to me. And with the teases from Jeff, I thought that might be a clue. Also, I think Keturah made the right decision. Never go to rocks when it's you and 2 other people for another player. You can figure out your role going forward from then on. But Jake's idea was desperation at best, and I just think it was a bad idea. That's my thoughts. Can't wait for next week. See ya.
Thanks, Brandon.
Actually, one of them said, I love you, and the other one said, I love you too.
Right. Austin said it first.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe there is a showmance brewing there.
I just initially took it as...
I love you. You got us food.
Yes, yeah. But maybe there's more to it than that. I'm not seeing it. It's not obvious. So
they're not playing it up, for
exactly. Sure. If they are attracted to each other and they're aware of it, it's really under the radar.
Mm-hmm. Or at least the editors are hiding it.
Well, true. Yeah, that could be the case.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Caleb would have gotten a better chance if it was an all-together vote, if they hadn't split them up. But after getting all those votes coming his way, you know it was coming up again. I don't know that he would have made it either way. I didn't expect him to really beat the odds. Hence, I had him going.
I was hoping that he would, but I just felt like...
Seemed unlikely.
Everyone has voted for you.
Yes.
I just... did not.
They're all okay with you going.
It's like it's just too easy.
Right.
And a lot of times they do follow the path of least resistance.
Sure. Yeah.
So
not me.
That's why
you,
I thought
again. Good stuff. Thanks, Brandon. Next up, we got an email from Josh the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, I want to start by thanking Bianca and Hayden for their shout out and last week's feedback. I too love hearing Stacy crack up, and I'm happy to provide this valuable service to our community.
All right.
Here are my other observations. Keturah's seething, ridiculously, annoyingly peeved. Now, tell us how you really feel. I think the Merge Tribe name was inspired by Fozzie Bear's Waka Waka. We got somebody else who mentioned that same thing coming up, too. Keturah says that Bruce is a thorn in her thumb. Is he a rose from her garden? Emily's come a long way from blurting her truths to telling Caleb a plausible lie. Indeed. Austin's fully activated idol is in its final form. Does he store it in a Pokeball? Caleb should have sacked Bruce for that awful quarterback analogy. That's bad. It was a bad analogy, too, though. Having everyone in different starting positions on the polls made them look like a stereo's equalizer. I think Probst said that they were all going to have to start at the same height from here on out. They were going to equalize it. How you like that? The start of the challenge. Oh, I got a head shake here. It didn't work. Caleb made it 28 years without Bruce, but he couldn't make it 26 days with him.
I like that.
Yeah. The cameramen and editor are really into Dee's long toes. Just saying. Something going on there. Kelly is Bruce's control rod, but he still might blow up her game. Dee Most folks don't regard hanging on a pole as their idea of the American dream. Oh, that works on different levels, doesn't it? Caleb was seen as a cat with 9 lives. To me, he was more like the cat came back. I do not know that reference. Bruce has his idol to keep him comfy. I prefer my recliner and a good book. Better late than never doesn't work for finally opening strategy talks on Survivor. Yeah, Kendra and Bruce. Stacy, windsock syndrome is my new favorite expression. That's an old one. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. Jake's decision to vote for Julie might get him deleted from D-Tribe. I'm surprised that the standards and practices fairnesses are let Blue get their bags from the merge camp for tribal, even if the players hadn't brought them to the challenge. I'm not sure. No. Yeah, they didn't have them. So are we missing a joke, or was that just an observation?
Well, Sifu and the others had their bags. It was only Sifu, or I think they did. They didn't say they didn't. But Sifu and Drew were the ones that didn't
chose not to bring them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought most of the time they did take them, but oh well, they didn't this time.
Yeah, I think Sifu said in his exit interview that they were just getting so tired and worn down that the idea of carrying that bag around,
anything,
yeah, just was not top on his priority list.
But you could stick your coin in your pocket, or for
sure.
The guys, I mean, they had pockets.
Yep.
And if you were like, they should have on the type of thing that Bruce does, because he's got a zippered pocket.
There you go. Jake wants to play and win Survivor. Isn't that why he's there? Yes, I believe so. Sifu was an easy target. That's because Tai Chi tends to be a stationary martial art form. And if it's not stationary, they move extremely slowly. Yeah, I'm with you there. When we got Jake's flash forward, I thought we were lost on a different island. I like that Lost reference.
Yeah, I didn't think too much of that.
It didn't register with us. I think we must have been taking notes. And then when I watched it on a rewatch, I was like,
kind of like,
what was the point, really? It didn't really hit for me, but I understand why some people enjoyed it. It was them doing something different, and Probst was ecstatic with the editor that came up with this idea, and he had recorded his own personal response to experiencing it firsthand with a short story that he relayed about dumping his coffee on his laptop.
You know, in fairness to Jeff, they do have to try things and see how they work.
And we absolutely want them to continue doing that.
45 now years. Or seasons.
Not years.
That's why I changed it.
Survivor players never want their drinks served with a twist. Katura's vote was her way of telling Jake and Caleb to put a ring on it.
Oh.
Did anyone else notice Drew photobombing Bruce in Kendra's discussion?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Sifu sensed a disturbance in the force. I didn't know that Jedi practiced Tai Chi. Kendra kept tipping the scales back and forth between Bruce and Sifu. Yep, she's a Libra. Chekhov's toes finally paid off in this episode. Bruce stifles everyone's game. That's how wet blankets work. Kendra should assume that dad jokes are best left to professionals. Yes.
To the profession.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that Caleb is mayor of Ponderosa. Sifu would have held daily Tai Chi classes. Drew looks like Napoleon Dynamite. I'm surprised he didn't tell people to vote for Pedro. That would be great if he included that at some point. How does he not interject that? How does Basil not interject that? This was a Bobo episode. Boot one free. After the challenge, even the winners suffered the agony of defeat.
Defeat.
Yeah, defeat. Next time there's talk of a women's alliance and Jake swings for the fences, will he find a clue to an advantage at the auction? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. I think you really hit on it. They're probably going to come with a slew of advantages and disadvantages. Some game makers, some game wreckers that's going to throw things just topsy-turvy. And that could be someone saving grace and someone short exit. I think Josh is on to something with that.
This is where JSFL hurts me.
Yeah.
My first thought is, oh no, now it makes it even more complicated.
Yes.
What's going to happen? Who do I vote for?
Right. And what was Jake grabbing out of that tree? Because that wasn't tree mail.
What was that? No.
Thanks, Josh. Good job, buddy. Next up, we got a call from Jade-n-Christine.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Jade.
And Christine.
From Hawaii.
Aloha.
So, how did you like the episode?
I really enjoyed it. It was a great episode again. There were some highs, definite highs and lows though.
Yeah.
First one, Kelly. So I really like the way that she's playing. I'm not the first one to say this, but she really impressed me. I didn't really see much of her at the beginning part of the game, and I don't know, she just kind of snuck up on me. I liked her.
Yeah, and for me, Katura actually was a high because I think deciding to kind of jump ship from the old Bella was actually a smart decision. She's on the bottom of that alliance anyway, and maybe I'm only saying this because she's still my USB.
Right. Well, that was made really clear when Caleb told her about Bruce's idol.
Yeah.
She probably made her decision right there.
Yeah.
To be like, okay.
Yeah. He should have told her sooner. At that point, it was too late.
Yeah. I love Dee's $1 million big toes. You know, they were featured in an earlier episode of, like, we got to see how freakishly big they were. That was great. Really a fun win. And also, she's really mentally tough.
Yeah.
When she shared about the win and how much it meant to her.
Yeah, they highlighted that in an earlier episode, too, just her background. And I think she just wanted it more. Like, there was no way she was coming down. So I'm happy for her. I'm glad she won.
Great win.
So some of the lows, we found Bruce very annoying. Not surprising.
Yes. I'm finding he has a Philip vibe. Definitely a Philip. The fragile ego, the bossiness and stubbornness, holding a grudge. It's not attractive. He just needs some pink underwear. And it'll just round it out with that.
Yeah. And there was this, like, weird edit where they were showing what could happen in Tribal when Jake was planning his vote. But because they showed everyone in Tribal and they showed Jeff reading the votes, it's like, we knew that was going to happen. It was weird, right?
It seemed very manipulative and spoilery.
Yeah. Don't show us the end when we're still in the middle. It's weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Jake calling out Austin for playing scared. I did not agree. I didn't like that, obviously. But I think maybe Austin was acting noticeably nervous because of sacrificing his vote last time. Maybe he just wasn't sure where he stood. So.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're reading. Because I haven't seen anything else that could potentially make him seem scared, unless that's just not in the edit.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Who do you think's going next?
I don't know.
Bruce.
Possibly Bruce.
He's the one this season for me. And I'm like, vote him out every time. And every time he doesn't get voted out.
They're going to take him to the end. He's a goat.
Yeah. But either way, I'm looking forward to next episode.
Yes. Bye.
Excellent. Thanks, Jade-n-Christine. Yeah, what would be the most surprising thing for the Women's Alliance to do?
Take out Austin.
Yeah, that was exactly what went through my
shocking.
mind when Jade-n-Christine were discussing that. I thought, what if then I would think, oh wow, this is real. But the stakes are super high.
According to Austin, nobody knows he has an idol.
Right. So not going to feel threatened.
Yeah, unfortunately that seems true, but it may not be. He may still be a little paranoid.
Good stuff.
I could see why Kelly would want him out, but the others would all know then that Kelly had an idol and that would put a target on her.
Yeah, for sure. She could offer to use it for them or one of them that gets targeted or... Well, it'd be interesting to see what she makes of that.
I think she and Austin should just use it while it's still a vote. Mm-hmm. And because everybody will know if they have an idol. And so that they get that off their back.
If he's playing scared, there's no way he does that. That ramps his threat profile up too high. Thanks, Jade-n-Christine. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, everybody. It's Jeremiah here with some feedback for this week's exciting episode of Survivor. And how can you not when you've got the classic Get a Grip poll challenge, which is always a lot of fun to watch. Of course, anyone who knows the history of this, no surprise that the two girls were the ones to do so well, because usually smaller people do much better. And of course, it does help if you have crazy toes, right, Stacey? Yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch. I'm still just not a big fan of just all this splitting of tribes. You have the season starts with 3 tribes of 6, which is always difficult to manage as a player. Then you got the whole mergatory thing, and now we decided to jump right into splitting tribes once again. I don't know. It's just a bit much. Would the outcome have changed with Caleb? With a player like Caleb, would have been able to stay in the game a little bit longer? Possibly, though. I mean, it's much easier to navigate through 12 than 6. So I don't know. The season's already got enough twists and turns to make it very difficult for these players. I don't know. I just think it's a little bit much. I understand why they did. I heard the excuses and everything. That's fine. But, that's just my humble opinion. Now, this whole Austin thing, I was taken back like you guys were. I never really got that read that he is a nervous player necessarily. I mean, granted, I'm not playing with this guy 24 hours a day on the beach like they are, so maybe their read is correct. I mean, certainly that's not what we get from the edit of him. I kind of feel like he's just young, ambitious, one of those kind of players that's willing to take a lot of risks, of course, that kind of stuff. But to be honest, who would want to go to Rocks in this early in the game still with 12 people left? I know I wouldn't want to go to Rocks, so it probably would have worked if the Couture would have gone through with the plan and forced the tie and stuff. I think he would have been someone who would have considered flipping over for sure. But it would be interesting to see how that played out. But honestly, it's fine. The whole flash forward thing, that didn't really work for me neither, by the way, is because I could tell that the boys overplayed their hand and misplayed this with telling Couture about Bruce's idol. I could just see it all over her face that she was not going to go through with this plan. So they made a big boo-boo there. Now it'll be interesting to see if this worked well for her, obviously. We have a lot of interesting moves. Kelly holding on to Bruce and Couture getting rid of Caleb. It'll be interesting to see how this works out for the ladies. Obviously, I am really on board now. We are for sure getting a woman winner. Will it be Dee? Will it be Kelly? Will it be Couture? I think it's definitely one of those 3 women for sure. So it'll be very interesting to see how it goes. I like still Dee's chance because her and Julie could always jump back over to Drew and Austin to help get them through. So I kind of still give a little bit of a favor to her, but she's getting a big edit. I know it kind of makes you fearful for her. Unlike Couture and Kelly, who are a little bit more of a somber edit a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. As far as my predictions for next week, it's kind of hard not to think Jake or Bruce. Jake really blew it, I feel like, in this episode. So he's going to be a big target, and that's probably who I'm going to pick for next week. All right, well, that's it for me. You guys take care. Until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Thanks, Jeremiah. It would have been the path of least resistance for Jake just to get on board to get rid of Caleb, I guess. He had already voted for him once.
Yep.
But he took that risk, and now he's going to suffer the repercussions.
Well, I think he was trying to build his resume up, too, and make some moves. And like I said,
he was desperate for control. That's what he was telling us.
I doubt many people tell him what to do, and he's tired of people telling him what to do.
There's that.
Grandma lets him do whatever he wants to at home. So
you seem to be channeling Nana a few times during this episode in his confessionals.
Too.
Yeah.
Even physically in his motions.
Yeah, the way he held himself.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. So the previously on section is all about Bruce. He's either going to be voted off the island in a fantastic way or he's going to be a Philip Shepherd. The new merged tribe's name is Dakawaka, and all I can think about is that's what Fozzie Bear says on the Muppets, Waka Waka. I find it interesting that no one seemed to notice that Austin didn't vote in the last tribal council. They all keep talking about the 12 votes, and Caleb keeps saying, everyone voted for me. Austin picked the perfect tribal council to burn a vote and power up his idol. He's hiding in plain sight, and if anyone realized that only 11 votes were cast, we're not seeing that. I think that Austin is in the best position right now. There are so many people playing hard, and Austin just really needs to sit back and let those people duke it out and let the numbers dwindle a bit. And having said that, I also am aware that Austin spoke the hubris that we don't want to hear because it usually signals a player's demise. but he wasn't voted out, so are they setting him up as our winner or setting him up for an eventual vote out? I'm not sure. I love this immunity challenge. It is one of my favorites, and it usually doesn't last very long because it's a very challenging one, but whenever I see it, I always just think of Parvati and how she rocked that challenge like no one. I don't remember which season it was or who she was competing against in the end. I just remember Parvati standing at the top of the pole like an acrobat, 1 foot on and 1 foot just dangling like it was nothing. This is a legendary challenge, but I don't think there is anyone who can do this challenge like Parvati did. She was up there on that pole for over an hour and a half. Amazing. And by saying that, I'm not throwing any shade at Kelly or Dee because I don't know how long they were up there, but at 17 minutes, Jeff commented, and 17 minutes probably feels like 3 hours. And Dee is a beast. Anyone who wins that challenge is a legend. I thought Drew was a shoo-in to use his safety without power advantage this episode, but then I found out he left it back at camp. So Sifu gets voted out, and I wish it was Bruce. And Caleb went, which was not a surprise. I did get a vote-off point and a first-on-jury point for that. It makes up for my abysmal safe picks track record this season. I chose to stick with Julie as my USB. She's in a good spot, and rationally there are reasons to support her as a winner. She's playing a good game, and she survived this vote, and I think she can sink back under the radar now, and hopefully the larger group will set their sights on Dee. I found it interesting that the Bello players wanted to vote out Julie because they see it as a way of crippling Dee. In a small tribe dynamic, it's easier to go after the big threat's right-hand person than it is to go after the big threat. And this was definitely played out on the Red Tribe because in a group of 6, the big threat has a better chance of winning immunity, just like Dee did. I think that in a large tribe dynamic, which I hope is what we have moving forward, they will just flat out go after Dee and let Julie remain the non-threat for the next few votes at least. I don't know whether Julie is simply playing a supporting role or if she's driving strategy, but I don't think we're going to find that out until Dee is gone, if and when that happens. We shall see. That's it for me. Looking forward to hearing everyone else's thoughts. Until next week.
Thanks, Jen. We've certainly seen under-the-radar players like Julie emerge for the win, but so far it's not tracking. But this is actually the point where they begin the breakout, where they get featured more if it's going to happen. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here, and there you have it. I was fairly sure about Caleb being voted off, but after picking Sifu to go 3 times, I gave up and picked Bruce. And I absolutely knew that this would be the outcome if I didn't pick Sifu. You hear that? That's me kicking myself. And who would ever think that Emily would be the last surviving member of Lulu?
Yeah.
This, as I see it, puts her in a great position to pick where she wants to go. She'll still be on the bottom of an alliance, but she'll be there nonetheless and hopefully make inroads with her time. I think our next big showdown is going to be Bruce versus Katura. And I meant to do some reviewing, but didn't Bruce tell someone that he was happy to see that they voted the way they did because it proved what side they were on? Talk about a kiss the ring moment, huh? I really thought I was going to like Bruce, but I like him less and less as the weeks go on. I just can't help but wonder how he feels watching all of this. It's got to be embarrassing because the only person he's fooling seems to be himself. And poor Jake, he's an odd one, but I loved how he thought things through. And then when they cut to those ideas actually happening in Tribal while he was explaining, my first thought was that they were splicing in old scenes, but after a few seconds I realized that no, we are seeing ahead to the future, which, was pretty wild. Now in the aftermath of Tribal, when things didn't go as Jake planned, largely because Caleb wanted Katura to know about Bruce's idol, which in turn ended up being his own downfall. Wow, now there's a chain of events for you. Well, afterwards, Jake tells Julie that he voted for and that he can explain, but I don't think it's going to go down nearly as smoothly as he hopes. With anyone, in fact. I wish I could have had a flash-forward moment there, but I guess we'll see that play out in the first few minutes of the next episode. And we seem to have a lot of people left who at least have plans to improve their standings. Most times at this stage of the game, we have players and we have coattail riders who are afraid to make a move for fear of hurting their position, no matter how bad they're ranking. This time, we mostly have some game here. And I loved my USB's win at the challenge, but it put a bigger target on her. Still, I think that either Jake or Katura will go next. Bruce can't let things go at all, and Katura just grates on his last nerve just as much as he does hers, but I think that Katura just pushed Jake in front of her as a vote magnet. I just wish Bruce didn't have that idol, because I'd love to see him go next. But yeah, I've just talked myself into picking Jake as our next vote off. And I guess that's it for me. Everyone take care. Bye.
Thanks, Paul.
Oh, I just noticed that we're looking at the roster, that Paul spelled it phonetically with the ended with the KA instead of the Q A.
Okay.
But it's easier to pronounce looking at it with a K instead. The Q kind of throws you.
So this might be, I was thinking about what Paul was just saying, this might be the ideal time to take Bruce, when all the heat looks like it's on Jake. And then the women just decide, you know what, let's pop Bruce.
Yeah, I just didn't know about his paranoia.
And you even get Bruce on board with it.
That'd be great. I would be thrilled. Even if I don't get a point, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just take Bruce out.
Such an interesting
I'm
thing.
anxious for it to happen.
I want the video where Bruce's wife is seeing, see? Where they're watching it together.
I'm not the only one that says that.
Yeah. I expect he's being a good sport about it all, but it would be...
That's a typical husband-wife thing, though.
It would be difficult to realize that you did not have the acumen for the game that you perceived you had, that you were not the celebrity that you proclaimed that you were from your 11-hour previous stint.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah, the mechanics of this dropping back down into the tiny team, tiny tribe, and having to vote again. It's like, yeah, you think you're done with that, and then, nope, here you are again in the small group, feeling all that intense pressure, scrambling, trying to figure out what to do and how to play it, and with the time constraint. Which is the thing that makes all of it more difficult, is that you only have a small amount of time to make a decision, to build a consensus, and to execute on it.
It definitely makes the tribes more fluid, the alliances more fluid.
And it speaks to the importance of making connections, keeping doors open. You don't know when you're going to need something, and how you want to, if you can. Some people just always shut you down, like Kendra and Bruce were saying. Well, in same way, from Bruce's perspective, she never discussed strategy with him. And from her perspective, she couldn't stand to talk to him. So that's a reality. How do you manage that? How do you get out there in the early days, and how do you keep doors open? You saw the struggle. I loved getting to see. This is, again, why the extra time is so important. You got to see the extra work Caleb was putting in, trying to find a connection, trying to make amends with Bruce. And he and Jake talking, when you could see how busted up Jake's ankle was. He was laying funny on the beach because he was elevating that left ankle that I think he hurt in the previous episode's challenge, that when they were coming down the net, and Probst even commented on him taking a tumble and taking a hard hit. Those nets have messed people up, right? We saw it break.
Yes, they have.
I can't remember what that lady's name was. She went out in the first episode.
Got her wrist broken.
Broke her wrist,
I can't remember who it was either. But
And those cargo nets like that can really do you wrong, and it looked like it messed him up. And if you go back and watch, you'll see him limping, sometimes limping really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that was preying on his mind. I'm going to have to drop down off of this pole onto my ankle, given how it's feeling.
He landed on his good foot.
Which probably made that worse, because he was already making it work harder.
Yep. But one thing I liked in the episode, too, I don't know if I said this in the recap, but is them showing Kelly's struggle to stick with Bruce. She's having to work really hard at it. It shouldn't be that hard, but just...
She knows she needs numbers.
She's such an independent woman that he's on the edge, if not over the edge, of showing women that he doesn't think that much of their opinions. It's all about his opinion.
She's the exception, I think, although there's even a struggle there. Because he's going to her saying, I want to have these reassurance talks where we're touching base.
Yeah, but he still came back at her when she dared to tell him maybe not talk so many questions in front of...
For your alliance members.
And, he came right back with that. Now, I'm sure she smoothed it over and that she's good at that, but still challenging to have to do that almost every minute of the day.
I think her nursing skills were really paying off, because she's gone in and had shifts like that where she's just wrestling with someone, having to deal with someone, fight her at every step.
Patients or family or all of those things. You bet. You betcha.
Yeah.
And so I think that did help prepare her for Bruce. And she's hanging in there, but...
Due to the complexities of the episode, the double vote out and all that, and it being somewhat of a unique occurrence, we weren't able to give the JSFL update. I'm sure people have gone to the website and see that, but just for someone who may not and may be listening, can you give us a JSFL update after this past episode? How did that play out?
I can do that. There were 28 USBs lost for Caleb and 4 for Sifu. 46 people lost a safe point for Caleb and 60 for Sifu. 120 people earned 2 points for first on jury for Caleb, and 117 got 1 vote off point for Sifu.
Wow, that was almost equal, huh?
Yeah. There are now 2 people tied in first with 38 points. Side challengers with 35, Randy and Rebecca. With 34, Jeremiah. 31, Robert. 30, Lisa Ray and Stacy. 29, Justin. And 28, Drew and Parker.
All right, guys. Thanks for locking down the basement. We appreciate that on that difficult episode, difficult round. We want to say a big thanks to everybody who took the time to share your thoughts and predictions and your analysis. Let us know how you thought the episode played out, what you liked, what you didn't like. We enjoyed it. We appreciate hearing from all of you and acknowledge the work that it takes to do that.
And if you play in JSFL, don't forget to make your Week 8 picks for 1 person voted off and 4 people who are still safe at the end of the episode. I think we've pretty much covered everything, don't you?
Yeah, I'm excited for the auction and to see what changes they've made, because I expect there to be some
I do too.
significant changes for him to be willing to bring it back. And for me, it's a nostalgia thing. It was there's the excitement over getting things to eat, and then when you get something that isn't good to eat that you spend all your money on, and how that plays out. I hope they've cracked the code on it so that it could be a regular occurrence, because the auction's another one of those events that can change people's perceptions of each other. You outbid someone for something they wanted, and that can that can play a big role
especially at this point when they're all really, really hungry. And yes, some of them have had more food than others, and some of them have had none.
Right. No big food rewards like everyone else. No merge feast. She's still missing out. She
definitely looks like she needs a good meal.
Yes. Yeah. So that part's going to be exciting, and I'm anxious like everyone else to see if this group has what it takes to pull off a women's alliance and dominate, and how they're going to go about doing that.
Here's where we see also where Austin, was he really that upset about the sandwich? Is he going to spend all of his money on food, or is he going to hold out for an advantage?
First thing that Jeff offers up should be a sandwich, right?
No, they usually start with something small.
Fully aware. I know, but I'm saying they should absolutely offer a sandwich.
And it should be the same sandwich that he didn't get to have last time.
Yeah, I think that at some point there's got to be a big sandwich that comes out.
There's my sandwich.
Yes, and some covered,
Give it to me.
not covered.
$500.
Yeah, and he spends all his money on the sandwich because he's got advantages galore the way things are tracking. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that was a nice thought. So we'll see.
Looking forward to it.
All right, everybody, have a good one.